Good evening, and welcome to It's a Great IDEA. It's an overview of Individuals with Disabilities Education Act by FND, Family Network on Disabilities. I'd like to welcome you here today. Just by you being here, uh, impacts the life of your child tremendously because it's a great idea to be here. So we'd like to thank you for being here and going through this overview with us today. And preferably by the end of our presentation, you will have a greater understanding of IDEA, the laws, and some of the terms that are present in um, this statute. My name is Kibwana Wright. I'm here on dual duties today. First, as a professional who has worked with special needs children and families and children in high risk situations for over 20 years, and as a mother of children with disabilities. I remember when my second daughter was in second grade, and I had seen some things kind of manifesting, but just kind of thought each child was different. Each child had their own um, personality. And you just kind of say, oh, that child has a big personality and they just are rambunctious and like to talk and are explorative. But it wasn't until I spoke with another parent who was having some challenges with their child and the child's education did I understand that maybe I needed to have my child evaluated as well, because some of the issues that she was going through, I was dealing with as well. And so through this process, I learned how to engage with my children's educators. I've learned how to stay engaged in their school. And it really, I learned how to advocate for my children. And not just that, I've taught them how to advocate for themselves through this process as well. Because we all know at some point they become of age and they need to be able to do and ask and make sure that they have what they need as well. And so that was important to me, not only that I engage, but I helped them stay engaged in their education and what they needed as well. And so there is light at the other end of this tunnel. And so I wanted to, one thing, let me go on and say what FND is, okay? We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization helping families across the state of Florida. We are funded in part by U.S. Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Health. We provide information, resources, and supports to family and educators just like yourselves to help them understand the special education process here in Florida. The Family Network on Disabilities, or FND, is a national network for individuals of all ages who may be at risk, have disabilities, or have special needs in their families. We also serve professionals and concerned citizens. FND was founded in 1985 by a group of parents of children with disabilities who came together looking for mutual support and an opportunity just to share some information. F&D was birthed out of that and is a grassroots organization for persons with disabilities, their families, and it is family centered and family driven. What makes you F&D a unique organization is that the majority of our board members, our management staff, our program staff, are parents or family members of persons with disabilities. So we understand the process in which you're going through firsthand. A very important clarification we want to make before we begin is the following. We are not doctors or lawyers, and no information discussed here on this presentation can be considered legal or medical advice. We do not interpret the law. We do not provide medical advice of any type. However, we are excited to share information, resources, and supports for you and your family. We use research-based information in order to create trainings and work in collaboration with state and federally funded organizations in order to create and provide resources for families. Did you know that according to the latest data by the National Center for Education Statistics in 2017 and 18, that there are 7 million students ages 3 to 21 who receive special education services under IDEA? The NCES is the federally approved statistics center nationwide when it comes to education. This is the latest data available as of May 2019, according to the latest update. Being personal from the beginning while making people feel a part of something helps them feel comfortable and interested. With that said, you may have come today thinking that you are alone or your child is the only one who struggles to learn or achieve success at school. This data shows just the opposite. When you think of 7 million or 14% of students, that's almost 2 in 10 students receiving special education services in public schools. So you are not alone in this process. All of them are protected. All of our children are protected under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, known as IDEA. And that is what we are going to learn about today. And that's why this is important. And so our main goal today is to provide you with some basic information about the law, and most importantly, to invite you to keep learning along with us. So, as described by the National Center for Learning Disabilities, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, is the nation's federal special education law that ensures public schools serve the educational needs of students with disabilities. IDEA requires that students provide special education to eligible students as outlined in Students' Individual Education Program, or IEP. IDEA also provides very specific requirements to guarantee a free and appropriate public education, or FAPE, For students with disabilities in the least restrictive environment, LRE, FAPE and LRE are protected rights of every eligible child in all 50 states and US territories. IDEA is required in every state to issue regulations that guide the implementation of the federal law within the state. At a minimum, state regulations must provide all of the protections contained in IDEA. Some states may have additional requirements that go beyond federal law. Many states offer handbooks and guides to help parents understand these state-specific policies and procedures. IDEA statutes include 4 parts. The first part is Part A. Under IDEA, general provisions including purpose and IDEA of IDEA and the definitions used throughout the statute. Part B, provisions related to the formula grants that assist states in providing a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment for children with disabilities, ages 3 to 21. Part C includes provisions related to formula grants that assist states in providing early intervention services for infants and toddlers birth through age 2 and their families. And Part D includes provisions related to discretionary grants to support state personnel development, technical assistance, and dissemination, technology and parent training, and information centers. In this presentation, we are going to focus on Part D, Part C, and B, as Part A outlines IDEA general provisions, including the purposes of IDEA and definitions used throughout the statutes. And so let's begin with Part D, which is the part of the law that funds this training along with all of the resources and supports that allow parents and children with disabilities to become their best advocates. IDEA authorizes 3 types of competitive projects: parent training and information centers, community parent resource centers, and technical assistance for parent centers. The award period for these projects is typically 5 years. In order to receive an award for a parent center, the IDEA requires the applicants must be parent organizations that has a board of directors that is majority run by parents with children with disabilities. The board must also include individuals and with disabilities and individuals working in the special education field or related services or early intervention. The parents and professional members of the board must be broadly representative of the population to be served, including low-income parents and parents of non-English learners or speakers. Parent training and information centers must serve parents of children of all ages, birth to 26, and all types of disabilities. Awards are made only to parent organizations as defined by IDEA. The training and information provided by the centers must meet the training and information needs of parents of children with disabilities living in areas served by the centers, particularly underserved parents and parents of children who may be inappropriately identified. At least one award for a parent training and information center must be made in each state, subject to the receipt of acceptable applications. Large and heavily populated states typically have multiple centers that serve designated counties. The parent centers also play an important role in dispute resolution by explaining to parents the benefit of alternative methods of dispute resolution, such as mediation, which states are required by IDEA to make available. Parent center staff attend or facilitate over 1,000 alternative dispute resolution sessions every year. These alternative methods of dispute resolution can help avoid costly litigation. As part of that role, parent centers are required to meet with parents to explain the IDEA mandated mediation process. In states where parent centers provide this service, they typically do so through contracts with state education agencies. In order to receive an award for a parent center, the IDEA requires that applicants must be parent organizations that has a board of directors, the majority of which must consist of parents of children with disabilities. The board must also include individuals with disabilities, individuals working in fields of special education, related services, or early intervention. The parent and professional members of the board must be broadly representative, again, representing all of those students, whether they're low income or non-English learners. We are a parent training and information center in this area, F&D. This presentation is one of many that we offer throughout the year. As stated in the law, we serve people with disabilities from birth to 26 and their families. We provide training, also one-on-one support as needed. We help families navigate the system as they gain knowledge and confidence to become their child's best advocate. As required by law, our PTI, or Parent Trainer and Information Center, is a part of the parent organization called Family Network on Disabilities. The 3 parent training and information centers in Florida work under the umbrella of F&D. F&D's board of educators is composed of parents of children with disabilities and individuals with disabilities and professionals working in the field, which is something very unique about this organization. It is parent-driven and parent-centered. Infants and toddlers birth through age 2 with disabilities and their families receive early intervention services under IDEA Part C. In Florida, the early intervention program is called Early Steps. The purpose of this part is to provide financial assistance to states to develop and implement implement statewide comprehensive, coordinated, multidisciplinary, interagency systems that provide early intervention services for infants and toddlers with disabilities and their families. Also, to facilitate coordination of payment for early intervention services from federal, state, and local and private sources, including public and private insurance coverages. Also, to enhance state capacity to provide quality early intervention services and expand and improve existing early intervention services being provided to infants and toddlers with disabilities and their families. To enhance the capacity of state and local agencies and service providers to identify, evaluate, and meet the need of all children, including historically underrepresented populations, particularly minority, low income, inner city, and rural, and infants and toddlers in foster care. Lastly, to encourage states to expand opportunities for children under 3 years of age who would be at risk of having substantial developmental delay if they did not receive early intervention services. Did you or any of your children receive services from Part C? Usually children who were born with a disability or develop one before age 3 qualify for these services. If a child is born with Down syndrome, they might qualify or they will qualify for these services right away because there is a risk for developmental delays versus a child who might have autism and they might not be diagnosed until age 4. And so at age 4, then that child will receive these services. Many children never qualify for early intervention services, but later in life are identified or diagnosed with a learning disability or other kinds of challenges. And that's when they would go through that process and receive these services as well. Once your child is found eligible for the protections of the law, this one ensures their right to special education and related services as needed. These are important concepts to consider as you are going down this path of gaining knowledge about IDEA. First is, according to Oxford Dictionary, ensure means to make certain that something shall occur or be the case. With that said, IDEA's goal is to make sure or to ensure that all students with disabilities who have been found eligible can receive special education related services wherever they receive education. And that is a very important point. If any of you watched Ray Charles's movie, you saw in the movie that his mother sent him away from the South to Chicago to receive education about being blind. And so she had to send her child away by himself to another city to receive services. But with this statute, that is no longer the case. All students will receive related services wherever they receive education, and that's locally. Second, special education and related services. As defined, special education as follows. Special education means specifically designed instruction at no cost to the parent to meet the unique needs of a child with disabilities. IDEA defines this term as related to services. General related services means transportation and such developmental, corrective, or other supportive services as are required to assist a child with a disability to benefit from special education, and includes speech language pathology, audiology services, interpreting services, psychological services, physical or occupational therapy, recreation, including therapeutic recreation, early identification and assessment of disabilities in children, counseling, rehabilitation counseling, orientation and mobility services, medical services for diagnostic or evaluation purposes. Related services also include school health services, school nurse services, social work services in the school, and parent counseling and training. The list is very broad, but doesn't necessarily mean that every student is going to qualify for all of these services, or that services are provided based on the diagnosis. Again, as parents are important, as